Welcome back to MidEast in Depth. Today we will be looking at Egypt between the threat of the ISIS in its Sinai and the warnings of John Kerry to include the Muslim Brotherhood in the political fabric. An Egypt correspondent writes for Al Monitor a piece titled, "Will ISIS find fertile ground in Egypt's Sinai?" Al Monitor observed the military and security forces tightening security along the border with Israel, as well as the entrances and exits of the Sinai Peninsula. One officer in North Sinai Security Directorate said there are clear and strict instructions from Cairo to tighten measures as much as possible, particularly after receiving security information indicating the intent of some terrorists to return to Sinai from Syria. Dozens of extremist terrorist groups travel from Sinai to Syria to train for combat and the execution of terrorist operations. Their misguided aim was to transform Sinai into an Islamic emirate. Security forces succeeded recently in capturing a number of those trained elements when they attempted to return to Egypt. Al-Mani'i, a member of the Sawarka, another of Sinai's largest clans, told Al Monitor, Sinai's Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis group is affiliated with the ISIS. It arose from the remnants of the Tawheed and Egyptian Islamic Jihad branches in Sinai, the latter being responsible for the bloody terrorist attacks of Taba in 2004. It is indeed a worry for the local tribal leaders of Sinai to voice their concerns. The ISIS has done remarkable advances in Iraq, but there is a major difference in Egypt. Under Al-Sisi, there is no tolerance for Islamic factions, and the army is well equipped to combat them. Dennis Lynch writes an article in the International Business Times. The writer depicts the varied views of the US and the Egyptian president over the Muslim Brotherhood. Domestically, Kerry was expected to bring up the crackdown on activists and journalists following Morsi's ouster and the 183 death sentences handed to the Muslim Brotherhood members. The United States worries the harsh treatment of political opponents could increase tensions and divide in Egypt in the long run. One senior State Department official told reporters the Egyptian government in some ways is radicalizing certain aspects of Egyptian society in ways that are not supportive of overall stability in Egypt. Egypt contends the Muslim Brotherhood is linked to terrorist organizations like Hamas in Palestine, but the US disagrees. The State Department did note some positive moves in Egypt recently, including Al-Sisi's campaign to curb Egypt's serious sexual assault problem and the release of an Al Jazeera journalist. Kerry said, Al-Sisi indicated to me that we should work closely, as we will, and stay tuned to what he is going to try to implement over these next days and weeks and months regarding political and democratic reform. And while the US advises the Egyptian president on including the all factions in the government, questions arise on the US judgment where its Secretary of State claims the Muslim Brotherhood organization is no harm for Egypt despite its direct involvement in terrorist activities. And now we are joined by the representative of the Muslim Brotherhood in the UK, Dr. Mohammed Ghanem. Welcome on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Ghanem, why, in your opinion, is the US so sure that the Muslim Brotherhood is no harm for Egypt and that Al-Sisi should consider including it, as per Mr. John Kerry?
Well, I don't know how John Kerry get that conclusion, but with respect to Mr. Kerry, he is one voice in the United States. The difference between the Kerry and the Obama, the Congress, and the Pentagon, unfortunately for Egypt, the dominant voice which controls the policy or political agenda for the United States regarding to Egypt is the Pentagon.
Yes.
And the Pentagon was behind the coup. And they control the policy between Egypt and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
This is fact. Whatever Kerry said does not represent actually the policy, the United States policy.
So you're saying there are double standards there?
Well, you can call it whatever it is, but this is the reality. On the other hand, America is facing a lot of pressure from the non-government organization to promote democracy. And it appears in Egypt far away from democracy. And the Sisi himself, by his own, you don't need analysis to discover or to realize that Sisi never been democratic. He's not willing, as he said, to do a democratic process in Egypt. And that might be convenience for the Pentagon or for the interest of United States as a whole. And this contradiction between whatever United States want to see a democracy in Egypt and the area, but when you see the democracy, it will bring you to the Islamic political Islam. You don't like political Islam, but you like democracy, and both of them you can't have. Because once you have democracy in Egypt, it will bring political Islam and Ikhwan.
Yes, and do you think President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi will be able to entertain John Kerry's requests when it comes to the Brotherhood, especially that the Muslim Brotherhood is considered by Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi as a terrorist organization? So it's going to be difficult to entertain the US request of including the Muslim Brotherhood. What do you think about that?
Well, the aim for the first aim for Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi is to get rid of Ikhwan once and for all, and to empty Egypt from the spirit of Islam in general. And that contradicts to what you say, that he wanted to do democracy or he wanted to deal with Ikhwan. His objective in the first place is to get rid of Ikhwan, to get rid of as much understanding or practice of Islam in Egypt. You see, the themes in Egypt now is just a clear cut against the Islamic principle.
So do you think he will not entertain the US request then? In your opinion, it's impossible, or?
It is contradiction to his nature, to his objective. It can't be done by Sisi. And the Egyptian people have to realize, and the world has to realize, if they want democracy, if they can tolerate and deal with democracy in Egypt, they have to deal with political Islam, which Sisi came against the whole idea of dealing with Islam or dealing with Ikhwan.
Mohammed Ghanem of the Muslim Brotherhood, thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
That was it for today. For more updates, please visit our website on levant.tv. Thanks for watching MidEast in Depth, and bye for now.